YouTube. We have a bit of a special episode today. All right, not that special. What we're going to do today is I'm going to go over more or less the details of how I paint my gates and stuff. I've always been kind of dodgy and cagey about what I actually do. I don't really film it too often. I've done several different things. First, let's talk about the paint that I typically use. Where are we at? Well, this is the paint. I typically buy this stuff. This is just Rust-Oleum, and there's a couple of reasons for it. One is it's decent paint. It works really well. Another reason is for touch-up purposes. It's not some specialty weird thing that somebody like a client or something like that. Once I install a gate or I'm done with a project, most of the time people they're not going to want to call you back to touch up touch up the paint or repaint it or anything like that. They're just going to take care of it themselves or hire a painter or whatever they want to do. But when I tell them that it's just Rust-Oleum and they can go down and get the paint themselves, they can touch it up anytime they want. That kind of actually kind of makes them a little bit happier that it's not some weird exotic thing. So anyway, to move on, what we're going to do is, this is the gate we're going to paint today. This is the one that's replacing the one we already built. It's a little bit special. It's a little bit unique. I've already filled these here with some just some painter's caulk, just to keep water and stuff from getting trapped behind these. But first things first, this thing needs cleaned. I'm going to give it a light sanding, and we're going to wipe it all down and then flip it over and do the other side, and then we'll put the first coat. And so let's get started with that. See, this is the texture you end up with. This is after running that sander over it. Got pretty much everywhere sanded, at least that I can reach real well. Anyway, what we're going to do now, I'm going to flip this over, but first I'm going to wipe it down real quick with some acetone. And that's just to pick up the last little bits of free dirt and oil. It's really important when you're using acetone to wear gloves. Don't ever use acetone without wearing gloves. So basically you want your paint real well mixed. Never, ever shake your can of paint. It puts bubbles in it. It's a big no-no, don't do it. Always open it up, use a stirring stick. Just word of advice, don't ever shake it. I got a little bit left in here maybe. We're gonna open it up, see if it's any good. But like I said, don't ever shake your paint can right before you paint. You want to really make sure you use a stirring stick and get the stuff out of the bottom mixed up and mixed in real good. And you don't want air bubbles churned into your paint. So like I said, don't ever shake it. Make sure you open it up and mix it correctly. So let's get started painting. Okay, so it's been a few hours. I don't know exactly how long it's been. It's 2, 3, I don't know how long. But anyway, the gate, here's the paint, gets, dry. It is not cured. And it seems to take several days for it to really cure. But it's dry enough to handle. And what we're gonna do right now is I'm going to set it on the table, and the only reason I'm setting it on the table, I'm going to flip it over to do the front, and the reason I want it on the table is that way I can, the table's on wheels, and I can wheel it out of the way so I can put Rusty back in here. So that's what we're doing, and if I have to get help, I may have to recruit my wife, but otherwise I'm just going to flip this over and set it on the table and hopefully not drop it. just like that, the gate is painted. Like I said, I've done this several different ways. I've painted the gates, you know, this one getting painted before installation, and then there'll be touch-up paint to do after it's installed, because, you know, I got to do some welding on it. So I don't really care too much if it gets scarred or, you know, scratched while I'm messing around with it. So then, but what happens that way is then it's just touch-up paint. I don't have to do the whole thing over, and I pretty much ensure that I'm getting all these funny little angles. I've done them where I've stood them up, I've had them upside down, I've had them on sides, that kind of stuff. I've done different things. I've shot them, I've sprayed them. But the roller seems to get the best coverage and the best adhesion out of all of them, all the different ways I've done it. Of course, this gate's not quite, you know, it doesn't have a lot of the pickets and that kind of stuff, but the procedure is the same. So anyway, that's going to set. I'm going to take, I see a couple of little drips over there in one of the corners. I'm going to kind of go over and do a little bit of touch-up work on this one, and then set it aside, let it cure overnight, and then tomorrow we're going to get the wood for it and the hardware, the bolts and that kind of stuff, and then we may go install it. If I don't install it tomorrow, I may install it the next day. But it's got to get installed soon. So anyway, till next time, bye.